You know who made it.
Hello again, and welcome to 3reate. I'm your host, Andrew Newman. 3reate features two types of episodes in a single feed, weekly and interviews. Each week, Nathan and I discuss current trends, our projects, and whatever else is on our minds. We'll also bring you fortnightly episodes where I interview folks across art, science, and technology, where we dive into their stories and get to the heart of how creativity drives them.
How's it going?
Still not AI.
Technically, according to the thumbnail, I might be.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I know Sora Slop has been in the news. We posted a clip. Apparently, Sam Altman's a huge fan of the 3reate podcast and subscribes.
No way. I never would have known that.
Yeah, subscribe. So yeah, I guess folks don't know. Sora is a video generation AI program that OpenAI's had for a while. Sora 2 is the next generation of the model, but the other thing that they've really done is they've doubled down on the social media-fication of it. And it's unclear if they're trying to build a social media platform or they're just experimenting with this idea, but I guess it's similar to TikTok. I've never TikToked, but you have a profile, you go in, you generate stuff, you share it, people can follow you, you can like the videos, there's some sort of algorithm that gives you a feed, your standard social media. I think the big thing that I've seen a lot of is there's just weird guardrails in place.
How do you mean?
You can have it do some really strange brand infringing stuff.
Got it.
But also not strange brand infringing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really unclear of how they have it set up. So like we can maybe show some. I've been playing around with it a little bit, and I've asked it to recreate actual events. And it's, nah, dog, I can't do that. And then I've done something that's like super brand unfriendly with copyright infringement all over it. And it's like, wait a second, I got this.
It reminds me of like back in the day when we didn't have strong filtering capabilities for like any time people were sharing content. You just sort of had like a block list of words. And these had to be words. Like if someone misspelled it, it got through. So I wonder if there's something similar here where they're going to churn the content into an LLM and say, hey, does this topic touch on any of these block words or block list topics? And then it just so happens that sometimes it hallucinates and it doesn't hit the block list. So it creates some weird copyright infringement content.
Yeah, maybe I'll share this one. I thought it was pretty funny and also demonstrates like how not good this is. So this is Sam Altman taking off his mask and revealing that he's actually Snidely Whiplash, which is kind of funny, but also not a very good AI fake.
The way that his hat disappeared behind his head was...
I was doing so like this is a totally brand infringing thing. Totally had no problem doing that. And then Sam Altman burning money. And again, we can see he's taking the money out of the fire.
He's taking the money out of the fire, but saying he needs to feed it to the engine. But it works, apparently.
Yeah. So I'll maybe put some of those clips in the... And I redid a Folgers commercial. So I don't know if you want to like...
I'm trying to see if that's the logo.
It's not very good, but it's like close enough where, you probably recognize it. And then at the end here, it's like the older school logo, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I didn't know if they changed the logo or not, but it hit that uncanny valley for me. I was like, it looks close enough, but I don't know if that's the right logo.
Yeah. So from a creative perspective, like, I think that's cool. From a brand perspective or copyright infringement perspective, I hate it because there's no real easy way to know if what you're viewing is like fake or not. Like what I showed you were downloaded videos that I downloaded from the app. Like it's not on the app. If I was on the Sora app, I would just be assuming everything's probably made up because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But the fact that, and then if they get rid of downloads, someone will figure out how to get it out of the system. And there's already been a ton of articles about how easy it is to remove the watermark. It's been really easy to digitally edit video for 20 years. So good job, folks.
Right. I imagine it's meant for the lay folk. It's easy to remove for the lay folk. But yes, I see your point. It's really hard to tell for the average person whether something is not real or not. And we did talk about a little bit about this, where it's very hard to believe what you see online nowadays.
Yeah. It's only gotten worse. And I think I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I don't really do a lot of social media. I've been trying to build the YouTube presence more. So I've been trying to do some actual like reconnaissance, try to figure out how this stuff works. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff where I'm like, that's weird. It doesn't really feel real, but it's like small, pixelated enough where I'm like, it could be a really bad recording and it could have happened or not. And I suspect a lot of it's Sora video. Mm-hmm. So it's already starting to filter into the world, and it's not labeled. They're detecting this stuff's pretty hard. It's, I don't know. I feel like it's a newsworthy topic that people might be interested in our take on, but like we hit this last week and I don't really have any more opinion other than it's an unnecessary technology right now.
It ties into something. I don't know that we talked about this in a cast, but I'm going to go full conspiracy mode here. There was some news, I don't remember how long ago, it was a few months ago, but someone on YouTube had noticed that the shorts that he was uploading were slightly different than the shorts he was uploading to other platforms. And then there were a bunch of people who looked into it, and it seemed like YouTube was modifying the short, digitally enhancing it. But it was just enough so that people were like, there's something a little bit off about this, but the content's real. So the conspiracy theory here is that we're slowly being trained to not recognize when something's slightly off with a video. We just assume the content's real because there was a point in time where things were real. So the slow training of brainwashing of what content is real and what isn't anymore is slowly being ingrained into us.
Well, joke's on them. I don't think anything on the internet's real at this point. But
Andrew, we've never met in person. You didn't know I'm not real, actually.
we could both be AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like it's a cool piece of technology. The negative aspects of it make it untenable to release to the general population, let alone at a scale, let alone on a platform that's
intended to share.
Intending for you to fake stuff about people and share it especially without their consent. And then they've been pushing back on people to say, if you don't want your likeness or your brand or whatever on here, then you have to tell us. And it's, fuck you. You don't get to do that.
Yeah.
That's not how this has ever worked. And I feel like I'm belaboring at this point, but everybody needs to play by the same set of rules, and the tech companies. And if you're an AI company, that doesn't mean you just get to ignore the rules. There is a line between trying to expand what's possible given a new technology and the rules. But this is one of those things, again, where I can't possibly see a benefit to our society allowing people to like deep fake information or just create very realistic looking fake stuff. I guess there's an entertainment focus, but the downside for me is so much more tremendous than the upside of entertainment. And I guess you could say if you were for entertainment, okay, fine. But there would be ways to do this that would be easily detectable or guardrailed a little bit more to keep it confined in the app and make it more difficult for people to exfiltrate the video and put it on another platform like Instagram. So it feels really lazy. It feels like there's something else going on that they're trying to push because it doesn't make a lot of sense right now. And I don't know if people want to check it out. Go check it out. I got access. I was playing around with it. I'm in the field. That's kind of part of the job, and I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't really see value, to be honest.
You can argue that this is just a play in a playbook to get adoption, or at least to get the brand recognition, as if they needed it anymore. But
yeah, and they're collecting a fuck ton of data. We've talked about this before too. And if they're trying to improve their models, understanding what people are trying to generate, understanding what gets engagement, it could be a giant A/B test. And at the scale that they have and the amount of money that they're burning, but then you're again experimenting on people without their consent and trying to make this appear to be some kind of social media tool. And we need to have a bigger conversation in our society about experimenting on people. If you were to do this in a university, you would have to go through months of human subjects.
Yeah, I think
review.
You're rejected outright unless
if you're a CEO of an AI company, you can just experiment on people's psychologically all you want all day long and nobody really says anything. So it's, again, double standard. If people want to opt into that kind of thing and are informed, the whole point of biomedical ethics is informed consent. I don't really see that happening. And maybe it's in the tiny fine print that I skimmed through when I created an account.
And no one reads. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also
really
doubt
informed.
it would be. Yeah.
Right.
Doubt it would be there anyway.
And people who are like, oh, it's just a software program. It's not, though, because people get on there and they'll think that some of the things are real, or that it gets out of the platform and now you're an unwilling participant in someone else's manufactured reality. Additionally, I guess the data is really clear to me. There's some people who debate it, but social media is really not good for you as a human. There's all sorts of harms that manifest in all sorts of different ways that are not so obvious. We're seeing it
not so
and more.
Immediate either.
Yeah, we're seeing it more and more. Like when people with the chat programs, they'll have some sort of an event in their life that is significant, and then the chat program gets blamed. And so people are starting to understand that Andrew was really depressed and only talking to ChatGPT and no one knew about it. And then something terrible happened because he didn't reach out, and the algorithm was either feeding it or not allowing him to, or not enforcing him to do a proper channels thing. And so I'm trying to be a little YouTube friendly here, because there's rules on what you can say and not say and whatnot. But one of the most recent things I saw on that was that it was a really interesting analogy. And I think it was a really clear point where there was a kid using, I don't know, some chat program and like therapy. My life sucks, whatever. And the chat history was pretty mundane until towards the end. The kid made a couple claims that if you were talking to a human psychiatrist, they would either involuntarily commit you to a behavioral health program or call crisis authorities, probably encourage you to do the same. And it didn't even happen. And so again, why does the computer program have a different standard than a human being would? And if it was a human being where that happened, there'd probably be an investigation. They'd be like, you didn't do anything, when there were these clear signs that you should have done. And that was your whole job and training. And they would lose their license and they would lose their career, and maybe they would have criminal damages. And then the AI companies just get to shrug it off and say, we said don't use it for this. And we do things to try to prevent this from happening. It's not good enough.
Yeah. I find it a very interesting contrast, because I think we've talked about it before too, where specifically around autonomous vehicles, where the standards for machines were so much higher than humans. And now, weirdly enough, it's been flipped, where the standards for AI are so much lower than humans. It's such an odd thing.
Yeah, a lot of the companies try. So I don't want to diminish the work that a lot of the people are doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As a product manager, as somebody who would be responsible for putting this kind of stuff into the world, that is a consideration you need to be making. And they're obviously not incentivized to do it. They need to be incentivized to do it. You need to be thinking about real and apparent downsides to your technology. This isn't some hypothetical, what if somebody hacks it or uses it in a different way that we don't intend? That stuff's really hard to try to hedge or understand. There's numerous cases of this stuff. There's companies who are explicitly trying to be AI therapists. Don't use an AI therapist, use a human. If you can't afford a human, call a friend, call a family member. Talk to another person, and then they get discouraged. So it's the same tech pattern over and over again. Anyone who's paying attention knows this. So yes, we need to disrupt things, and healthcare has a lot of opportunity to be disrupted. But when it comes to how people are treated or how people may or may not be harmed, that we need like laws and regulations. They need to be followed. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and given the current state of things, at least in the US, it's not super clear that those will come to light.
Yeah. So on that topic, I think it's kind of interesting. I use AI to generate our thumbnails for our videos because I'm not good at graphic design.
I was waiting for your reasoning.
Yeah. And it's frankly pretty good. I think they're pretty good. People have various opinions if the thumbnails matter. I think in audio world, probably not as much. In YouTube world, people tell me that's all that matters. And so I don't know if I care enough to like actually put investment behind it or have a person and like everyone's screaming, oh, he's not hiring somebody. It's like, there's no money on the podcast, folks. So like, if you want to see me hire somebody to do thumbnails, you should subscribe on Patreon. I have plenty of people in my life that I know who would be able to do that, but I'm not going to ask them to volunteer. And I'm not willing to pay them to do the job because there's no revenue for that. But I've been using Gemini's Nano Banana model. It's pretty good. The image generation stuff's always hard too, because it's generating a realistic image or video is much more difficult than text, and the whole way the maths work and vectorization and whatnot is probably a cast in itself. I have pretty good results with giving it very specific details and keeping big holes in what I want done. So the algorithm is still able to try to fill in the gaps with whatever it thinks. And there's some amount of variability in there. And
what do you mean by hole? What do you mean by holes? Like, are you leaving things out, or are you asking it to fill in specifically the hole that you're leaving? Is it something you're leaving to the LM to quote unquote infer, or is this?
Basically. So the hole is like intentional inference that I'm trying to plant in the prompt to let it. I don't want to say the word create because it's not creating, but
generate or fill in.
Not giving it the details or the parameters to see what that generated piece. Because like AI, quote unquote, these LLMs are really, really good at like summarization, all sorts of analysis kind of stuff. When it comes to actually generating, it's funny because we call it generative AI. They're really bad at it and they make mistakes all the time. And I really don't think this is actually going to take anyone's job. This is a really great example of I'm able to provide better content for people with no money. The Google Gemini costs money or something.
I was going to say it costs
such a trivial amount of money.
Yeah.
And if this were to ever get to the point where it's actually making real revenue, I'm hiring somebody. I have someone in mind who I would hire. So it would help me be able to get to the point to create a job and not take a job. So anyway, but it has a really weird problem with you.
I've noticed. I look different in every single thumbnail.
To me now, it's like a joke, right? Because I'm like, I see what.
That would be fun. That would be fun. You should change me every single thumbnail.
I think
I should look slightly different.
I know, right? I think I'm gonna. So I guess for folks, like my process is really simple. Like I just take a clip of the video, a still frame where we're making a goofy face or something, because that's required for YouTube for some unknown reason, and upload it, and then I give it some parameters, the secret sauce. I'm not going to reveal my secret prompt.
Yeah,
I would just encourage people. I would encourage people to not overthink it.
Keep it simple, one task at a time. Honestly, that works best for prompting. Yes.
My prompt for these thumbnails, it tends to be like 8 words, maybe a sentence.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of iteration. We'll go through some turns to tweak some stuff, but they're not really good at that either. It's like all the people that I've heard who are like, oh, this is going to replace graphics design. No, it's not. You don't know anything about graphic design. I need a quick and dirty thumbnail that like looks okay. This is great. If I were to put any sort of, if this was part of the brand, I mean, I guess it technically is, if it was part of the brand I cared about,
Nice.
then I would want an actual human to come in and not only design something that the AI isn't going to just come up with, make it more unique. I would also want them to intersperse it through the rest of the brand's color schemes and typography and different types of collateral, like all that kind of stuff. That's all really important running a business. This isn't really a business. I don't know what this is, but it's a
fun hobby.
Yeah, I guess.
That might make money.
I don't know really. I haven't really thought about it as a business. Like I know people do YouTube for like work.
Yeah,
that's weird to me. I don't know if I ever want that. It's fun, and then if I feel like if I did it for work and it was like 40 hours plus a week, I'd be like, it sucks.
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to the conversation we had, was it last week, 2 weeks ago? Where it was like some people who make content end up having to make certain types of content to increase their numbers, and then they end up not liking to doing the content thing. Yeah, it's like a weird cycle.
Well, and I've been, like I said, been trying to explore the different algorithms of the different platforms, and I'll upload shorts to the channel. They do pretty well. I'll upload them to Instagram, like same video, nothing. And sometimes vice versa. Like sometimes something will go like really well on Instagram and then not at all on. So it's.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I wouldn't say really. Nothing I've done on Instagram has gone really well.
Okay.
I mean, a few hundred views. Like to me, that's probably noise. Like maybe if you don't have any views on Instagram, I'm sorry, but I don't really think 100 or 200 views on Instagram is notable. But what I've been discovering is that the algorithm on every platform is not kind to discovery. Right. So if you're just starting out, you get lucky and you hit 1 million or tens of millions of views, probably not. And I think a lot of people who are either aspiring to be a creator, one, welcome. You don't get recognition no matter how brilliant you think you are. And if you don't believe me, take an art history class and they will tell you about all sorts of people you've never heard about who aren't really famous outside of the field, but are the reason art exists. A lot of thankless work. Not everyone gets famous. But two, I would say if you're doing it, be consistent. It's like everything else in life. You want to be successful at a job, be consistent, be dependable. If you're going to show up at 8 o'clock, show up at 8 o'clock. If you're going to post frequently, post regularly. Like I find that 2 to 3 shorts a week on the channel. And then we're working on clips and doing video stuff. Like you have to watch the data and the metrics you're getting to make sure that there's some kind of an impact if you care. Or if you're trying to grow, like that's a different strategy. Then I'm just going to throw out stuff to the world and just see what happens. But I think people I can see after I've spent like a couple weeks now, I wouldn't say focused on YouTube, but I've spent, I don't know, call it 10 hours a week, trying to understand it, trying to see if I can develop the audience or not. And so far it's been working. So thanks for subscribing. But I can see where it gets really easy for people to like get way too into the data and start to get validated by the data. And I didn't get any likes, or this one got 1 million views and this one only got 400 and now my life is over kind of stuff. And
speaking from experience.
I know, right? Yeah. I text Nathan all the time. I'm like, oh, I got 5 views. Let's go.
So yes.
I know, right? And I think it's a few different reasons, right? So it's like, and we were just talking about this offline too, but we've been on Spotify for almost 3 years now since this thing started.
Whoa, no way. Really? Wow.
Yeah. 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just now got access to a bunch of shit that I didn't even know existed because I hit some magic milestone in the algorithm for creating.
I'm sure that the feature didn't exist back then too, right? The transcription thing, I'm sure. Did they?
It's part of it. It's part of it. I don't know if they've always done it, but so part of it was that it now allows me to do transcriptions or upload them, I think. And I don't know if it's because I hit a milestone or if they've just matured the feature. But there's a bunch of other creator tools that like got unlocked too, and cool. I guess I think it's just, why not just give people everything, or have like a basic and an advanced mode. But this kind of goes back to like these platforms I'll sell you on. Anyone can be a podcaster, anyone can be a YouTuber, anyone can be a creator, and it's like, yeah, that's true, but you're not going to probably explode overnight with popularity and success. Like maybe again you get lucky. But what I'm finding is the algorithm is very unkind to new stuff, and especially things that are not fitting within a specific niche. So there's all sorts of niches within tech that we could be hitting, like the news run recap, reviews, unboxings, or software stuff. Like we're kind of all over the place in like the tech, science and tech. And the podcast itself, I'm talking to people who are doing all sorts of different types of science, all sorts of different types of technology, arts, that kind of stuff. So the algorithm doesn't really know how to push us into the niche either. And it's really interesting to see how different things respond. And then the next thing, which is like either similar or very different, doesn't ever do what I think it will.
Yeah. There are two things I wanted to mention. One's a little bit of a tangent, so I'll leave that to later. But I'm overstepping because I don't know anything about this content creation. But I've heard that if you're trying to start building your own audience, on top of being consistent and posting regularly, find the niche, because that seemed to be what the recommendation engine can at least anchor on. So if you're doing some topic consistently, other people who are doing the topic who have more viewers than you might become one of the recommended because of your closeness to it. The variety stuff doesn't come until you actually have like a large enough following and you've established your brand that you can actually do whatever you want to do and still have followers, right?
Yep. Fuck that.
Yeah. Which I commend you on, because that's the whole point of 3reate, right? It's do the stuff that you actually find valuable and then want to do.
Exactly. And that might translate into success in the algorithm, and it might not. And we're talking about this, and I hesitate to talk about this stuff too. I really don't care, but I find that you have to play some of this game to get people to be exposed to your content. So was it back in August? I didn't even track downloads and stuff for the audio,
right?
And I started tracking anonymous statistics because I don't care about the audience segmentation and who people are and all that creepy ad tech shit. I care about you as people. I just don't want to try to profit and monetize it and whatever. And then we started seeing downloads, and then I hadn't even done any search engine optimization for the website or anything, right? It's just, so I was like, maybe I should get around to doing that. And I kind of did a little bit. I started seeing web traffic go up a little bit on the site, and then I started seeing some of the episode counts getting a little higher. So I was like, maybe I'll put a little work into the episodes, try to make it more, SEO friendly, try to help the algorithm out a little bit, give the content. And then not much happened for the first, couple weeks. And then all of a sudden you can just see it on the data. It's just like straight up in terms of like downloads, getting subscriber data out of Apple and Spotify is strange. But those data sets also started to trend up, listenership, that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, that's cool, it's working. And then we had a couple like podcasts where I think we just hit on a good topic or planets aligned or whatever happened, and a couple of them really took off, and then more subscribers and that kind of stuff. And so I see it's really easy for people to chase that. And if you're trying to make this a job, then you have to chase it, but you also have to keep a healthy distance. So that doesn't become the pursuit of everything that you're going for, because then you're not going to make interesting content. If you're trying to constantly chase the trend, you're always going to be behind it, and you're never going to be the trend. Yeah, and some people are okay with that.
Yeah, that applies to technology too. You're always trying to chase the latest and greatest technology. You'll never make it.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know.
The other topic I wanted to bring it back to, I'd be very curious on your opinion on it as a product person, right? Like the whole thing where you quote unquote unlocked Spotify features for whatever reason, they decided to not roll out certain things to you. But I'm going to try and steel man the product case where usually these creator platforms are quite complicated once you get deep into it. Like there's so many things you can look into. Analytics is just one element of it, but like tweaking your thumbnails, tweaking your content metadata, stuff like that, it's all complicated. So not unloading all your features to the users when they first start might be one way to keep them engaged in the platform. So sort of like a learning onboarding process where maybe once the account is X many days old, X many weeks old, we start to roll out the more complicated features because you can easily churn people because your dashboard is too complicated, right? No idea what to do, right? So there is an argument to be made, I think, about this slow rollout on top of saving you some money for not having to roll out all these features to all those users who may not even use them.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's user cohorting, segmenting, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't disagree with that if the marketing supported it, but it's like you too can be a podcaster and have millions of listeners, and okay, but clearly you're picking favorites.
Sure.
You're giving people the tools, and YouTube, I don't know, I hate all of it, but YouTube is probably the best platform right now for discovery, and it's probably the most creator friendly.
I think we talked about this. Right? Yeah, because I'm not on it. The monetization options and even the amount that you would get from monetization was much better on YouTube.
Well, but not even that. I think just if you're wanting to create content and have some sort of an audience, YouTube is like the way to do it.
Is that by nature of its just popularity, or because of the way they manage their creators?
Probably both. I think they made. I don't know. I don't talk to anyone at YouTube. I don't know. I probably won't.
You don't have a YouTube rep?
If I had millions of viewers, I still would probably be like, just don't fuck with my stuff. Yeah. That's why I host everything on the website too. I haven't done the video on the website yet. I'm deciding if I want to do that. I probably should, because I don't want to be coupled to another company, and then when they change something, I get screwed.
You want to track bandwidth costs if you do that.
I'll be fine. I have ideas. We should probably talk about that. Okay. But I think YouTube made an editorial decision a while ago to just not do it, because every social platform starts with favorites, right? It's like they pick people who are either on and are generating a lot of buzz, and then they promote them. Fundamentally, it's a populist algorithm. YouTube seems to have obviously that, but they seem to segment the audiences better, or the interest better, and funnel you. And so you can be a nobody and you can put up a YouTube video and get hundreds or thousands or even millions of views and likes over a very short amount of time if you're doing good content. You can also not. It just because you're doing good content doesn't mean it's going to work either. So I want to encourage people to be creative and do it. It's just, it's a weird world. Instagram, it seems like they really want you to pay to play. At least me, every time I turn around, they're like, hey, you could boost this post for however many dollars. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to give you money.
I was going to say, I was like, as a creator, you pay the platform. But yeah, that makes sense to boost your content.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. And yeah, with Instagram, there's 3 different types of profiles I'm aware of. So there's like an individual. That's what most people are. There's a creator or an influencer or some fucking thing. And then there's business. And so I'm a creator influencer or whatever, because I don't give a shit about Instagram for my personal use. But I've been talking to a lot of people in general to be on the podcast. Instagram is like a communications platform. I figure if I have it, I might as well up. I don't spend any time on it, to be honest. Maybe that's why it doesn't do well either. I just put up repost stuff from YouTube. But yeah, it seems like it's really pay to play, because I'll post stuff on YouTube. It'll get thousands of views. And then I put it on Instagram. It's like 4. And maybe it's not the right audience there, but it's also like clearly there's something else going on. TikTok, I don't know.
Instagram enough.
Yeah, TikTok, I don't know. I might do it. We'll see. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about it. I don't feel like it'll probably do very well, because it's like you have to create Instagram content. You have to create TikTok content. I can't be bothered to do that. I'm more trying to give people access to it, because there's a lot of people who don't leave TikTok. That is their social media. Okay, I don't reach them. Double-edged sword of, if you're on every platform doing all this extra work, now it becomes work or time that I can't put into other things. So I'm trying to find a good balance of where people can get exposed to the content it does well. So I don't know, we'll see. And younger folks are on TikTok, also YouTube, but also not. So it's like kind of an audience thing. But yeah, so I think YouTube's made a decision to de-editorialize, or at least it seems that way. They seem to be much more, the algorithm works. The algorithm is the algorithm. They're not really trying to cook it too much, whereas a lot of the other platforms seem to be doing that.
Interesting.
So we'll see. I don't know.
So do you recommend this content creator journey for anyone who's even remotely interested?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. If you think you have something interesting to say, record it, put it out to the world. Don't expect you to get millions of views. If you get millions of views, don't expect that that's validating. But it's hard for me, because I want people to express themselves, and I want other people to be able to be exposed to that. That's the whole point of communication. If you're just shouting into the void, you're not communicating. But at the same time, I see where people get so into it, and it just becomes this validation metric of, and I've even had this. I put out a short, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, this is really good. Like, objectively, like, I know good content when I see it, and I'm like, this is great. And it fucking tanked, right? Maybe the wrong people saw it. The algorithm just didn't get the right audience. Maybe I am off on what people on YouTube want, or what the people are, everybody's having a bad day. I don't know. But I'm not going to stop producing content that I think is good, useful, etc. Because the algorithm said bad. But I'm afraid other people might, right? Because it'd be really easy to see. I think I've got the most thumbs down of anything I've done yet.
Oh, interesting.
But yet the views keep going up. So there's clearly the algorithm's like, some people hate this, so we're going to keep it going and see what it does. And I'm like, what the fuck? I have other videos that have all thumbs up, full engagement, like 80-90% retention rates, which was like YouTube gold apparently, and then nobody views it. And it has to be the algorithm, right? Because it's if I have, I think there's one, it's 300 or 400 views, it has 86% retention, it has a bunch of thumbs up, and you can just flatline. It doesn't make any sense, right? So either all 300 people in the world who would be interested saw it, or there's something else going on. But yeah, so I'd say, yeah, if you think you have something, you don't need to spend a bunch of money on a camera. You don't need to buy expensive mics. If you have a cell phone, start on your cell phone, upload it. There's all sorts of free hosting. YouTube obviously is free, and see how it goes. And if you really want to make it a career, I would say probably don't. It's not really a career. Yes, there are people who make money, but you shouldn't depend on it. I don't ever want to tell someone to not follow their dreams, but there has to be some reality at some point. And the people who are going to ignore that advice and go be successful in the content creation are the people who are going to be successful. Everyone else, you're probably not that. Statistically, don't put your whole entire livelihood on being an entertainer.
Yeah. There might be something you've said about the state or the changes in entertainment that are happening. I do think that 5 years ago, even, like the idea of a YouTube content creator as like a full-time thing was real. Like there were people who made livings as content creators for entertainment on YouTube. And I think that was one of the big impetuses for a lot of companies to try and move into that space, because they saw that opportunity of capturing those types of audiences, because those who are younger are not going on your standard broadcasting channels to find their stuff anymore. It's all on the internet. So yeah, I've always found it to be a fascinating profession if anyone wanted to try.
Yeah. And if you prove me wrong, great. You can subscribe, comment on the channel, right? I proved you wrong.
Encouragement to prove Andrew wrong. Yeah.
But, and because I think too that in some regard there's almost no barrier to entry, right? You can do we have more of a professional setup going on here, and there's some people who they spend tens of thousands of dollars on cameras alone. Don't do that out the gate. But anything with a low barrier tends to have low value. I'll keep that out there. And not that what you're saying doesn't have value. It's just that the audience might not find it monetarily valuing. So you could have a profound impact on someone's life or millions of people's lives and not make more than a couple bucks. And so I think it's around your motivation. Again, if you're trying to make this a job and trying to make it a livelihood, like you're probably better off learning editing for people, or learning some element of YouTube production or podcast production and trying to get someone else to pay you who's successful, because trying to get that fame, it's the same thing as Hollywood's been this whole time, right? It's like very few people star in movies and they get a disproportionate amount of the income. The what is it, SAG Actors Guild, I think, is like 95% unemployed all the time.
I thought it was sort of I don't know enough about this industry or the space, but I could have sworn that was for some reason. Like they did that intentionally for something, for some
maybe,
flawed case
most
or something
people,
like that.
yeah, but most people who are aspiring actors or actresses, like you're getting a part on a commercial and you're gig working. Like, very few people break out into. There's some commercial actors who get a lot of stuff, or they get signed by a company, and then there's a pretty small pool of people who are ever doing anything. And there's the people, and I think the average wage for actors too, it's like it's $20,000, right? Because like, again, a very small amount of people make all the money and everyone else is making
zero.
Yeah. And again, if you think I'm wrong, great, go figure it out. Just make sure that you are living in reality, knowing that you're probably not going to make it. And I wouldn't say have a backup plan, because I think having a backup plan means you're not going to take the risk to try to make it happen. But if you have anyone else who depends on you, if you have a family and stuff, like probably not a good decision. If you're young or you have some money and you want to make a go of it, make a go of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is interesting, because I draw a parallel to when people, or if I'm talking to anyone who's remotely interested in entrepreneurship, I tell them to take the jump, so long as they don't have the dependency, the financial dependency, because just the act of doing, you learn so much along the way. And I feel like 100%. It could be very similar for content creation. Like, to your point, there are so many things involved in like a production kind of thing, whether it's on your phone or not, right? Just learning how to work with digital files, how to work with audio and video, how to upload that kind of stuff. Like, those are things that you would learn in the industry if you ever want to stay in the industry. So it's not just like you're taking your shot and that's it. You don't learn any skills, but you could build up yourself as you're doing this, whether it's a hobby or whatever. It goes back to the intention. Like, what's the meaning behind what you're doing or why you're doing it?
And entertainment is just a seriously lousy
industry. Super noisy.
And that's, to your point on startups, 100%. That's why I'm kind of being cautious, because I don't want to tell people not to do stuff. But for entertainment specifically, like if your dream is to be a YouTuber or a podcaster or an Instagrammer or a TikToker or like whatever, like 83% of Gen Z said that that's what they want to do. It's not real. You're much better off starting a company or starting again. And even if you start a company, like we just had a podcast where I interviewed Austin, and he coined cosplaying as a startup founder, because there's a lot of people out there who are like, I have a startup. It's what are you building? Oh, I have all these ideas. Okay, great. What have you built? What's your customers? Like, if you have a startup and you produce something and you don't have customers, that's a very different problem than I have an idea for a business and I'm shopping it around, or there's all sorts of distractions. I'm in an incubator and I'm in meetings and I have this great pitch deck. Okay, cool. That's important. What have you built? What have you gotten in front of other people? And it's funny saying that too, because Seeks have the Seeks product that's
we were just talking about this before.
I know, right? And it's that one's a little bit different though, because one, I do know it works. It is a thing that works. I am using it, so it's definitely providing me value, and it's really for me. If other people find value, great, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I don't ever see a massive market for it, but I do think there is a market for it, and I do think it will help other people. And I'm asking a very small amount of money to do a thing that saves me 50 minutes an episode.
Yeah.
But the other product that I haven't talked about publicly yet that's in process, that one's a little bit more strange. That one's going to be, we should maybe talk about that offline a little bit, because I have some ideas on monetization, and I don't know if I like it.
Ooh. Oh, we did talk a little bit about it. I think we got sidetracked. I think we were talking about it. And actually, we should be recording.
I'm not ready to release that one yet. I don't know. Maybe I should. I have a domain. I just haven't put it to anything yet. I'm wondering if I should do that. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll release it next week for the name.
Okay.
I'm actually really close to a prototype on it. And I'm thinking maybe I just put it out, but I don't really want to.
You gotta speak the truth. Yeah, speak the truth. You gotta get it out there. You gotta put it in people's hands.
There's some things that you build or do where having a more mature offering out the gate and being first is just as important as being first.
Yeah, this is definitely something that is discussed in like the startup space. I find a lot of people do talk about this, but it's always so hard to tell, because it's like, if you have something that is not mature enough, then people lose interest or they think it's nothing. And then you sort of squandered your first opportunity to make the first impression, because arguably that's a super important thing, is to get the first impression right. But then you can get caught up in like the perfectionist mindset of like, oh, it's not ready yet. And then you just spin your wheels.
That's most
Lord
people.
Knows, I was gonna say I've been in that boat too, right? I've been rolling for hours and find I've not moved at all. So it's a hard decision to have to realize where you stand on and whether you should just go or not. And I think that was the mentality behind the move fast and break things. It's taken some bad rap, but back in the early tech days, it was just like, get your product out to people.
Yeah, and even now, but I also think. That's interesting you say that, because I think the level of it depends what you're doing. Again, if you're doing a B2B, it's a little different. A B2C, the average consumer has so much higher of a bar for a product too, that there's so much more now that has to go into something for it to work. And like just even like security stuff and all the GDPR compliance and CAPA and all this other stuff that like, you wouldn't have had to deal with. You have to think about, and there's other services that allow you to do this, but then you have to integrate. So there's this, it's a little bit more complex, but at the same time, I think the way that to successfully hedge that is know what is the core value you're trying to deliver, and does the thing deliver the value? Is it clunky and ugly and maybe crashes? Okay, probably release it, right? You can fix it. And people will use it, and you'll find other bugs and that kind of stuff. But I think, and I would say also, you want to do a little bit of hypothesis-driven what ifs. But it really is easy to then delve into this whole big concocted what if story that you're telling yourself or the team is telling themselves, and now you're trying to deliver on your what if, and not your core product. Again, if you lose sight of what the value is, like Sora, they'll pick on them real quick. What's the value? Being able to generate a video. Okay, that's probably a pretty small thing to do. Now, how do we have 10 million people use this? Most companies, you failed, because you're not going to have 10 million people use it. OpenAI probably has 10 million people or more on a daily basis using their stuff. So they have a built-in customer base they know they can top. And so that might be a requirement. Now, that's probably a really hard engineering problem that probably took them months to figure out how to deliver on. And now they're slow releasing it to make sure it scales. I don't think they could have put out an engineering prototype of Sora 2 and had it.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I see a lot of startups or a lot of smaller companies, they fall into that trap. We need to have thousands of users. Maybe not. Maybe you need your first 2. Maybe you need your first 1. Maybe you need 10. And trying to identify how big your market is, and then figuring out how many people do we need to know if there's actually something here. Because again, you can have the best product in the world and it might just not resonate. It's just, you're unlucky, right?
Yeah.
It happened with the podcast
timing,
app I built. Right.
Yeah, timing too.
Yeah, and people might not be ready for it. Maybe the technology that isn't as good, but people haven't figured it out yet. There's a lot of reasons, but people then get into these what ifs, and you start building for. It's call it like a self persona, where in product development personas, and right, you have possible users, and then the what ifs become this like internal persona that nobody wants to acknowledge. And then you start building all these features and building all this stuff without any actual validation, and you're doing like hypothetical or self-validation. You're like, oh, really need to do this thing, and we made it do the thing, so now it works, but we need to do this other thing now, but you're still not in front of customers, and you're still not in front of people who are going to pay you. So
100%.
We talked a lot about that, but but at the end of the day, try it.
Yeah, try it. That's the whole idea. Yeah.
All right.
Figure out what you're doing it for and just try it.
I'll just make a clip of that. Just loop it for like 50 minutes. Just try it.
Just try it. Just do it.
I'll train an AI model, and it'll just eventually, like, our pizza will be melting out of our faces or something. If you made it this long, thank you. And try it.
Yes. Just try it. That's all.
Right, take care.
You can find us at 3reate.com. It's like the word create, but with a 3 instead of the C. As always, we encourage you to listen, watch, do. We'll see you next time. You can support this podcast at patreon.com/3reate or at ko-fi.com/3reate. Thanks for listening.